We've been talking about machine quilting. So I was just finishing up using and teaching how to put the walking foot on and what stitch to use. But the next best thing, the Bernina 560 can have the Bernina Stitch Regulator, or BSR, added to this machine. Now this accessory has been around for a long time. It has worked from day one. What it's going to do is allow me to do free motion quilting, so feed dogs are going to be down, but it has a sensor. It will regulate how long my stitches are, and because I'm not always smooth when I'm running, it will speed up or slow down as I stitch, so then all my stitches are equal. You can set the stitch length and everything. So the nice thing is it just fits on like a regular kind of darning foot, just like all the other Bernina feet go in. We will lower our feed dogs, so it will be, there we go. And you can't use the stitch regulator without lowering the feed dogs. The next thing is there is a plug, and the plug is kind of just directly back here. You do need to peek underneath, and once you kind of get used to where to plug it in, you can do it without looking. You can just go ahead and click it. Now, I didn't click it all the way, but once I did you notice the screen change? It went to a whole new screen. The only way to get to this screen is if the stitch regulator is fully plugged in. Now, what we have, oh, this is amazing. So the stitch regulator, I have the open toe version of it on. There are two other feet that come with it, a standard closed foot and also more of an echo quilting or very poofy batting option for a foot. So love this, love the options that come with this. So very quickly though, we are going to walk you through the steps, and then again, once you try, you got to go try this out. I have had people that have never free motion quilted sit down at a Bernina Stitch Regulator and totally get it. All they are doing, they're like, I can do this. I know I can. I thought I was always going to have to struggle or practice. Yes, you have to practice like where you're going, but this is going to get you there faster. I have become a better machine quilter because of the Bernina Stitch Regulator. So when it turns on, it probably is going to be in, I think it's the last mode that you were in, but I'm going to have you start in mode 2. Mode 2 of the BSR means you're going to lower the presser foot. If you want to bring up your bobbin thread, you can. I'm going to just go ahead and stitch for right now. You are not using your foot control. All you're using is this start-stop button. Once I push that start-stop button, did you notice it was green? There's a red light that is now underneath the presser foot, and it is sensing how fast I'm moving the fabric. I'm going to go ahead, when I want to pause, I'm going to reach up, push that same start-stop button. It turns off the red light, and the needle sinks down into the fabric. So let me do that again. Touch and hold the green button till it starts. Okay, oh, I held it just a hair long. Once I see that red light underneath the presser foot, don't put your fingers in there. That's not a good thing, because if it sees stitching, it will, well, it'll stitch. All right. Now, I just heard a little beep on the machine, and I do have it set that if I go too fast, it will beep at me and kind of tell me to kind of slow down, okay? And once I get going too fast, my stitches start to go longer. So that's actually training me to know when and how fast I can move within this stitch length. So let's go ahead and stop it. You notice that anytime that I stop it, the needle stops in the down position. So it's holding my fabric, making it really easy to go. Another note that if you do start this and the red light is on, and the fabric doesn't get moved for about 7 seconds here, the light turns itself off and the needle stays up. So if you go to stitch, nothing's going to happen until you pretty much restart it. So take a stitch, lights back on, and away you go here. All right. So I'm going to pause it, turn it off, and I'm going to go ahead and change it to a longer stitch length. So I'm going to take it from 2 millimeters up to 3. And then now I'll get a longer stitch length. You'll notice that you have to kind of jump a little bit more to get it started. Well, because it's a longer stitch. So I'm talking about patterns that are a little bit more open. The longer stitch is appropriate. If you're going to do really tight, close together stitches, then you want a shorter stitch length. You'll get a smoother edge all the way around. So I'm going to change it over to the BSR 1. Now's when I'm not using the button anymore. I'm going to use my foot control. So as I step on the foot control, watch what happens. Actually, nothing happens, because my foot control wasn't plugged in all the way. I bumped it when I lowered the feed dogs. Okay, note to self, make sure your foot control is plugged in all the way. All right, so here's what it's going to do. As I just step on the foot control, it doesn't matter if I step on it a lot or a little, is the red light will come on and the needle will start to bounce up and down. As soon as I move it though, that's what's going to regulate the stitches. I'm still on that stitch length of 3 here. But as soon as I want to stop, all I have to do is take my foot off the foot control. And look where my hands are. They're still on the fabric. So there's not this constant on, off, on, off. So mode 1, I tell my students that it's very controlled. You really can do more detailed work, or maybe have a lot more kind of starts and stops without you having to do a lot of hand movement, because your hands are always going to stay on the fabric at any given time. All right, and then you can use your thread cutter for this as well. Now you do notice you have stitch number 2. It's a zigzag, and this will kind of feel like you're playing with a calligraphy pen, because depending on which way you're going, you will get different looks to the stitch. So if I go left to right, I get more of a straight stitch. But if I go up and down or diagonal, I kind of get that little angle. Now I'm getting beeped at a lot because I'm actually going faster than it can physically stitch. So I'll go ahead and lengthen that just a little bit. So what do you use a zigzag for? This is going to be a little bit more for texturing, for art quilts, for anything that you really would want to add some extra texture to. Raw edge applique, use it with a variegated thread. Now on the back it will look also like the zigzag, so it just depends on what you're actually wanting to accomplish. But it is a fun way to really kind of lay down some fun texturing to any of your projects. But most of you will probably just be in regular straight stitch, and then try out each of the modes and see which one works best for you. I do usually toggle between them based on my project that I'm actually working on. So the Stitch Regulator is an option to this machine, and check with your local Bernina dealer and if you want to get one.